understood by the famous, or properly said, this man fits into the class of rich and famous. He is none other than Mr. Frank Islam, who is the chairman and CEO of FI Investment Group, located in Tysons Corner, Virginia. Today, in the Washington Current Review section, our well-known and famous host, Mr. Frank Islam, has alongside him attorney Tom Myers, who is at the counsel at the U.S. Chamber of Commerce in Washington, D.C. Let's join these two gentlemen in their brilliant dialogue.
Hi, my name is Frank Islam. I'm Chairman and CEO of FI Investment Group and your host of Washington Current Review, where we interview leading voices from business and politics and explore topics of current interest that impact you, the viewer. Today, our guest is Tom Myers, the director of U.S. Chamber of Commerce, the world's largest business federation. We'll be talking about building a small business.
Great.
Tom, thanks for coming on the show. I really appreciate that very much.
Oh, thank you for having me.
Let me start with my first question. What are the three most important things to consider when you're starting a new business?
The three most important things. Well, I think the three most important things would be, one, understanding the risk and the commitment of effort that are required in starting a new business. Two, does your business idea solve a real commercial problem, and is it one that people are willing to pay for? That's an important caveat. And three, knowing what your competitive advantage is and how you can sustain that advantage. And let me tell you about each of those. First, risk. What are some of the risks? Well, there's a risk of failure, of course, and certain risks of capital. Risk of failure is very important. Let me talk about that briefly. In any business venture, there's going to be a risk of failure,
No
of course.
question about that.
You know, if you're going into the marketplace and you don't like the chance of failure, then that's the wrong place for you. Unconditional love, you know, go get a pet. That's not, not the right place to be. But the chance of failure can be hedged against, and you can hedge against it by having a good management team, surrounding yourself with good people, by having a very strong business plan, by having a deep and abiding understanding of the market, studying commercial buying trends, for example, things like this. This will all help to hedge against possible failure. Second will be a risk of capital. You know, a lot of times you need to have skin in the game, as they say. I know that's an old cliche, but it's very true. Investors want to know that you're going to put money into your own money into a company before they are going to be willing to invest in you. So you got to show that you have some skin in the game, that you're that there is a chance that you're risking your own capital. The second one, solving a real problem. You need to show that your business idea can solve a real commercial problem, and it's something that people will buy. And I say that that's an important caveat because let me give you an example.
Sure.
Say you are you've developed a telecommunications technology that can handle 1,000 times more calls than the current technology, the existing technology on the market today. Well, all the studies and research and the big telecom companies, they've done the research and they said, well, we forecast that it's only going to increase about tenfold the need for additional call and so forth. So really, your technology is overkill. If it's going to be 1,000 times better, it's overkill because, you know, what investor is going to sink money into building a superhighway when all you need is a service road? So those two. And then the third one I said was a competitive advantage, having a competitive advantage. And what does that mean? And sustaining that advantage. And what does that mean? Well, first of all, it means knowing your competitors and how you stack up against them. And that can involve also being proactive. If you want to have a competitive advantage, go out, talk to the customers, potential customers, talk to potential investors, find out if this is a product or a service that they'd be willing to purchase if they're a customer, something they'd be willing to invest in if they're an investor. So being proactive is very important, and sustaining the advantage is important too. Being the first to market doesn't necessarily mean you're going to keep that advantage.
Good answer.
Thank you.
I have been an entrepreneur for a long, long time. I've raised a lot of capitals. You know, you mentioned about the risk. Taking the risk is inherent in any type of entrepreneurship.
Absolutely.
And building something from scratch is rewarding and it's challenging.
Yes.
And raising the capital for an entrepreneur is definitely very challenging. Well, how does an entrepreneur raise capital for a new business venture?
Well, you can raise capital. Well, an entrepreneur, if he's rich, he doesn't have to worry about it. Like yourself,
well, there's not
finance.
That is a true statement, but I wasn't before, Tom.
And if you have rich friends, that helps too, but angel investors aside, or if you have a lot of collateral and get a bank loan, But assuming none of those things, you're going to have to go out to institutional investors.
The banker wants the firstborn.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And you usually don't want to give them up. Depends on your kids, I guess. But, you know, going out to the institutional investors, you're going to need to show certain things. You know, first thing they looked at, probably the most important and determinative criteria is good management team. They want to see that you have a good management team. No one's going to invest in sloppy management.
Good point.
That means surrounding yourself with smart, capable people. And this brings up a point I'd like to make, which is don't necessarily partner with your friends. That's not a good, familiarity is generally not a good hiring criteria. Capability is. You want people that are that have a deep knowledge of the market, that understand it, people that are going to be able to that understand what the potential challenges you face are and can know how to overcome them and articulate that to investors.
Sure.
Second, an ability to grow. Investors want a return on their investment. No surprise there. So showing that your company will have an ability to grow is going to be very important to them. And third, I guess, an ability to improvise.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing, as you well know as a businessman, nothing ever goes according to plan. So what you want to do is have alternative plans. You want to have the ability to improvise in the marketplace. If something changes in the marketplace, factor X, factor Y, factor Z, whatever it happens to be, that your company can adapt and overcome that. And a lot of that is going to be, again, having a deep knowledge of the market and having the right people in place with you.
I have been a small business owner for a long time. I grew a small company to several $100 million. And a lot of challenges, a lot of problems associated with growing a small business. What do you think, Tom, are the main pitfalls that small business owners face?
The main pitfalls for a small business owner, I think probably overconfidence is certainly one of them. A lot of times, you know, every entrepreneur has a degree of confidence, and that's healthy and important. But being overconfident to the point of cocky does nobody any good. It has to be tempered with realism. And by realism, I mean make sure that your assumptions are based on sound financial projections. Make sure that you can back up the things that you say, whether it be to your customers, to your investors, to your partners, whoever it is. So confidence is very important, but overconfidence is definitely a pitfall. Second, and equally important, is a lack of preparation. A lot of business people, especially entrepreneurs first starting out in business, they don't do the proper preparation. And I'm talking about before you even launch a business. You got to do a lot of work. It's a lot of work, it's a lot of effort, but it pays off in spades.